Since 1945, Weatherby's been building the finest firearms and ammunition in the world. And today, we're proud to continue that legacy from our facility in Sheridan, Wyoming. This is On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast.
All right, welcome back to another episode of On Our Mark, the Weatherby podcast. I'm going to be your host today, and I am joined by Kyle, Killen, and DJ Jazzy Dean. Kyle, you've been on here a bunch. DJ, maybe remind the folks what you got going on.
Yeah, I run the social media here at Weatherby. Been on the pod about 2 or 3 times, I think. Set up for the pod, edit it, produce it, all that sort of fun stuff. So, get the cool job.
The man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And then Kyle's here, so we must be talking about shotguns, right?
What else would we talk about? It's only the coolest thing out there to talk about.
Yeah, you're our official, unofficial bird master.
Yes.
Yeah, so. Kyle, kick us off. What are we doing today, man?
Well, so we are going to talk about, I guess when this goes live, what's now going to be public knowledge, the Element 2. So we have had the Element 1 since about 2016, 2017. So about 8 years on the Element 1. Fantastic shotgun, workhorse. It's a great inertia shotgun that has always proven to be dead reliable and affordable. So it needed a little bit of a facelift. You and I are a little bit of diehard waterfowl guys. We knew we wanted a few more features, so we went to work. So what we have is the new version. So
it seems like that Element has just been such a reliable platform, and then we start tinkering. We can always change things, right?
Always.
But man, one of my favorite things about the Element is that reliability you're talking about. I have seen so many testimonials of guys dropping elements off boats, getting buried in mud. We had one guy just earlier this year. He dropped his gun last December, and for whatever reason, it fell through the ice, and he couldn't get to it. So in June, the water receded and all that stuff, and he is walking the creek bank looking for his gun. And all he sees is the stock sticking out of a bank, a mud bank. He pulls that thing out, and he cleans it up, does the whole thing. First 3 shots, pow, pow, pow. No cycling issues, no nothing. So that's one of my favorite stories.
That's definitely one of the best ones. And I see all the stuff we get tagged in, and people send pictures all the time. And the amount of times that I've seen people like, yep, this is my Element, took it out, like this thing just performs. And that's always cool to see, and that story in particular is just awesome. And even sent pictures with it too.
Yeah.
And was
pictures
like, check
video.
it out. And it was just covered in mud.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Another
good one too. We had someone who was like a shooter for another brand, and they're like, dude, I went hunting with my buddy who bought, a $600-700 Element, and he's like, I'm shooting this $3,000 shotgun, and we both somehow dropped guns into the water. He's like, his came out perfectly fine, and he tried to get his refurbished by some brand, and they're like, oh, well, you dropped it. That's why. He's like, well, this $600 Element is still like rocking. So he's like, I don't want to shoot Weatherby now. So that's a fun story too.
There's a lot with that. I mean, I've seen them used for boat paddles. I've seen a lot of different things, and it's always those ones. It's like flashbacks to when I was young and all the abuse I used to dish out to things. But So we updated it. So we wanted to keep that same reliable package. So internally, we really didn't change much. I mean, the bolt's all the same. The inside of the receiver, the barrel dimensions, we kept that the same. What we did do, we'll kind of go from the front towards the back. We updated the choke system. So we are now running CryoPlus chokes in it. So nice. Compatible with all the aftermarket stuff out there. You get a longer choke, more parallel. Just seems to really actually pattern steel shot just that extra little bit better. Then we went.
And what I like about that is it does match the Sorex. So I have both. Mm-hmm. So it's nice when I'm swapping chokes, I can buy one set of chokes because we run a lot of aftermarket stuff. We've tried just about everything. We use Muller chokes. And it's nice to be able to swap back and forth too.
Yeah, it's definitely a simplified, like traveling, like when we're going. Because I like an extended choke just like you because, as you're shooting in the blind, you can just reach up and give it that extra little, make sure it's tight, not turning out. So
which these actually on the couple of the models, the waterfowl model and the tungsten model come with an extended choke too.
That's correct, yeah. So they'll come with 3 chokes. The modified in the tungsten and in the Element waterfowler will be extended. So they'll have that knurled edge up on the top. So just like Tyler and I like to do, you can reach up and kind of give her a quick tighten in the blind. So you can also visibly see that you got the right choke in, which I like a lot. Yeah. We went and then also we modified the magazine tube. So now the magazine tube for our diehard snow guys is compatible with magazine tube extensions.
Yeah.
So that's going to open up some options for guys, especially those guys that are right in that flight line. So
again, like the same, like a Sure Cycle that would work for a Sorix, it's going to work for an element as well. It's kind of an industry standard.
Yep. Yeah. The threads pitch is all the same. The only thing they ever really change sometimes is depending on your forearm dimensions, they'll change the end nuts all. So,
Gotcha. Cool.
But yeah, so it's compatible with that. We went in, when you get back to the receiver, we did a comp cut on the receiver itself and changed kind of the exterior of it a little bit. So easy reloading. We also scooped the trigger guard a little bit. So if you're really in a rush and you kind of go a little far back, you're actually going to help guide that shell in by the trigger guard now.
Yeah. And I like, this one has a little less, what I love about the Sorix is it's super aggressive. This one's not as aggressive as the Sorix, but we got a lot of positive feedback on that aggressive comp cut on the Sorix that it just is it is actually so much easier when you're using gloves. Just the slight trimming of that receiver makes it so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. You're not getting your finger caught, and it really just speeds things up. And you can kind of, especially in cold weather, cold hands, you can kind of fumble it in there and still score. So when we get up here, we've got extended controls now. So extended charging handle, a slammer button, not as big as the Sorix. It's kind of a nice sweet spot where it's not so huge that you're going to get hung up on it, but easy to action when you need it and quick. Oversize the safety. Now, the safety is reversible as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if you got a left-handed shooter, you can flip that safety. And then we redesigned the stock. So on the butt stock especially, one of the big things I want to do was I wanted to enhance our grip through here. So we now wrap all the way through the grip with our stipple jobs here. And then in the butt stock, this is something that some people will love, some people will just be like, okay, whatever, is toolless disassembly for the spring. So you get a guy who accidentally drops his gun in the water, gets a whole bunch of water in here. It used to be all the Italian manufacturers do it. They use, like, I don't know, Loctite black. I don't know what it is. It requires a blowtorch to get off.
Yeah.
So you always have to blowtorch the end of the spring tube the first time to get it off. This doesn't have that. This actually has a toolless disassembly where it's a castle nut with a spring system. So you will just basically pull back and unscrew it, and you can change your spring out. You can clean stuff. So like that end of season cleaning, you can actually now, without having to blowtorch anything, get in here, clean that out nice, put her up in the safe, and she's ready to rock come next season.
Yeah, that for me, we always do our spring rates with an inertia gun so that it cycles a wide variety of different shells and powder charges and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
But my first step I'm doing when I get a new inertia gun is I'm getting a new aftermarket spring.
You're putting the Wolf in it?
I'm putting a Wolf spring in it. I like it. I like a good stiff spring. And a lot of people do that. That's pretty common on maybe that next tier of guy who is like very dialed into his equipment. But a lot of guys like to be able to shoot, everything, right? Or if they're doing clays on 4th of July. But there's a subset of guys that's going to mean a lot to them.
Yeah, I ran a Wolf in my 18i for 3 seasons just because I didn't need that gun to shoot light loads. I needed it to shoot anything, and it might get frozen. It might get, covered in mud. I wanted it to just hammer home every time, and so I ran the same spring in it.
Yeah.
The nice thing is for those guys, they can swap that spring out, and then come turkey season, they can shoot their turkey, take that out, and go put in the standard spring and go back to shooting clays and anything else they want, doves, everything. So
that's cool. That's a cool feature that I think is a little bit underlooked.
Yeah, and and when we do the video later today, we'll actually do a video showing that and how that works. It is pretty slick. Our guys over that we work with on this gun, we told them what we wanted, kind of gave them a rough idea, and they just nailed it. So
nice, sweet.
So so that is the Element 2 at this point. It is the new workhorse. Yeah,
and let's talk about we got a couple of different models in this. Price point, this thing's going to start around $600 on the synthetic model, and then we've got the tungsten model, which is a tungsten Cerakote. We have a waterfowl full dipped camo one.
Yep, Max 7,
and then we have our Element Upland, which is a woodstock version. Man, the wood for being a $800 gun, pretty darn nice on those.
Yeah, so, we've had some pretty stellar ones show up. So
yeah, it looked really nice in the field when we took it out the other day.
Yeah. So
I like that. Man, things are cyclical. Those wood shotguns are starting to grab my heart again.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I kind of got the itch again. I mean, we've been talking about even shooting, old side-by-sides just for fun lately. So
Yeah.
we've been a little too busy shooting this, though. I mean, we've been putting a lot of hours on these guns, vetting them out. We shot a ton of shells through them this summer and then took them to the field just to kind of finalize everything out this season. So
Yeah, we'll get to the hunt story in a second, but we did take that endurance tested, field proven, like the same thing we did with the Sorks. This guy kind of on the final journey of like where we thought we wanted the gun to be. We did Alaska, we did Kansas, we did Montana, I just did Missouri,
Wisconsin,
Iowa.
Iowa.
Yeah. So again, taking that last bit of in the field preparation, field testing, like to heart.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that before you guys get these guns, because this would have been all of last fall, we're now into the new year of 2025. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool that we get to do all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I love about my job is that, I can try and come up with everything, and we do it on a static range as much as we can. But there are some things I just, I'm creative, but I ain't that creative. So, taking them out, meeting up with groups of guys that hunt differently, and just putting them through their paces, looking for anything, and they just pass with flying colors. So
Yeah, it's like a couple days before Christmas when we're recording this, and I like to say that I'm kind of like when I goes to testing shotguns, it's like baking cookies. I don't actually bake the cookie; I just do the taste testing and give you guys feedback. Kind of similar with shotguns as Kyle and the team that we work with. They do all the internal stuff, but we give a lot of feedback, so that's kind of fun.
yeah, it's always fun too because there's days you and I just grab them and go. So
Yeah.
it's we'll see what we come up with next.
Yeah, so that kind of rolls into doing a hunt story recap. We're having a new film come out on Sunday after this launches. So this is launching January 2nd. So January 5th, right? We're going to have another new endurance tested field proven that Deej and Kyle did.
Yep.
Deej filmed and shot. Kyle was shooter on a lot of this. So I just wanted to go through that film, because with divers, sometimes it's hard to tell the whole story, but you guys did a couple of two separate trips that were actually pretty epic and kind of on tops of lists for most waterfowl hunters that aren't from the Midwest.
Yeah, we were able to go and do the full layout boat shoot, which proved to be a little more difficult than I anticipated. It's been a while since I shot from one, and the one I shot was pulled back in a cove and not in the middle of the Lake Michigan. And so we got to do that, and then we got to go down and go hammer some canvasbacks. So
walk me through, though. Let's go back. Let's back up.
Yep.
Lake Michigan. Walk me through what a setup is, because I have never done either of these hunts, and I'm very jealous of both of these hunts. So
It was something new I've never even thought about doing before. I grew up in Wisconsin, so I knew the area a little bit. But going out and setting up for the first day, we kind of knew what to expect, but also not really. So essentially, the first setup, we had 2 layout boats where it was just single layout boats, and then
explain this layout boat, because layout boat can mean a lot of different things. You guys are in these gray, super low to the water.
So you've got your UFOs, or some guys will call them pumpkin seeds, but I mean they're essentially shaped like a pumpkin seed, and you've got probably 6 inches of freeboard above the water.
Yeah, I mean you're when you lay back and you turn your head to the right, you're almost eye level with the water, and it's freaky. I mean the first day we were in 70 feet of water.
70 feet, yeah. That's wild.
But yeah, it was pretty insane, and just something I'd never done before. Obviously you have layout blinds and fields and that sort of thing, but when you're on the water, it's just a different story.
Yeah. So and then walk me through a decoy spread on that.
Okay, so we had how long was that tender? 28, 30-foot tender.
Probably. Yeah, that was a big boat.
It was a big boat. It was a big Lake Michigan boat. So we had the 2 layouts in there, and then the way they had it set up is basically the collapsible garbage cans. They had long lines set up in there with all their old squad decoys. So we dropped the layout boat first, dropped the anchor on one end, and then we were running lines off the 2 layouts, and then we ran a line down the middle, and then I think we only did 3 lines.
I think that day we only had 3. The second day was when we brought out 6 lines.
Yeah. So we're running long lines. So essentially just divers on 150 foot line, I think is what we had.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So basically decoy clipped into it about every 3 feet, 4 feet. And so where you're running these lines off, and what will happen is a lot of times the divers will come and they'll hook and they'll run right up the line, right at you. The first day, nothing wanted to come right up the line, and everything wanted to go left to right or right to left. So, but yeah, it was 3 lines, 2 boats, 70 foot of water. You look right, you see no shore. You look left, you can see some off in the distance once the fog burned off a little bit. So, and then, yeah, you got DJ in one and me in the other.
Yeah, and we started off filming, and it was kind of hard for me. Like, it was definitely an adjustment just filming in general, and even for Kyle shooting. Like, it took us a while to get used to it, and eventually, shortly into that hunt, we had some birds work in, just didn't really get any down. We actually switched me out, so I was on the tender boat, and then we put 2 shooters into the boat instead to get birds down and in the boat. So, and then we found some more success there.
Yeah, we the first day, like, I was having some hard issues. I kept trying to tuck the gun next to my side in the boat and then come up like I would out of a layout line, and I was getting hung up. I would get hung up, and then I'd get up, and I was behind already. So that didn't go well, and then I got my confidence rattled on one that I was sure I killed that bird, and he didn't go down, and footage later on shows that I did hit him. He just didn't go down, so would have wished I'd known that earlier, because that kind of...
so maybe walk through some tips of how you would, because again, a lot of people are going to book a trip like that and have no experience doing it, but they're going to get to do 1 or 2 days, or they're going to get to do 2 or 3 days. From a shooting standpoint, Kyle, now that you've done it, what would be your advice to being like, when you're shooting those passing shots, right, from left to right? Like, if they run up the decoys and do it perfect, like and most people can make a shot like that, but when you're trying to account for the chop and like
the swells and
just
everything.
Give us a few tips on what you would do different next time going.
Yeah, so a couple things. One, go light on your coat. I had a bulky coat on. That did not work well, so I ditched that later on. 2, get rid of the hat. Go to a beanie. I was actually having issues with, as I was sitting up, I was catching the back of the hat on the boat. And then the hat was about falling off, and I just had a cluster going. The third one is set the gun on the very center of your chest. So, because that way when you come up, your arms are going to be actually already tucked in, and you're not going to hit the gunnels of the boat, because that was an issue I was having on the ones we were using. So that really kind of slowed me down. And then the biggest thing I tell guys is go to the skeet range and sit on station 4 for a little bit.
Yeah, so trying to figure out your lead on those passing birds is going to be different. And again, you're also not you're bobbing up and down too. So it's
I took out a couple waves. Yeah, it was one of those. I was just kind of doing the old rock, and I was like trying to time it, and it's just, you're going to have to accept the fact that you are going to shoot and you are going to miss. And I'm not used to missing as much as I did, and I got to the point of like, I actually radioed and I was like, hey Alex, you need to swap me out. I got to like get myself back together here. I'm starting to feel the confidence shake come on, so I'm going to swap out. I'm going to have some water, and I'm going to realign my mind here.
I was getting a little upset because I'm filming these birds. I'm not shooting, I'm just filming them, and they're hard to track. It's definitely one of the hardest things I've ever filmed. I've done, big game, mallards, pheasants, all that sort of thing, but definitely one of the hardest things to film. And my tip, I actually got to shoot on the second day, but just I wouldn't bring anything. Like the first day I brought like my backpack, like I had an extra jacket, like, and my layout boat was just crammed. Like I'm not a small guy. And so like I filled up that whole layout boat, but just like if you do go hunting, like bring a box of shells and your gun. That's it. Like don't cram it more than you need.
Yep.
So
waders and a lightweight raincoat.
Yep. Yeah.
So unless it's obviously freezing, then bring the heated vest.
So you guys, what about, so what species, because I saw was there a redhead in there?
Yeah, I shot a redhead.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So redhead, you were targeting longtails and only killed a few of those, right?
Yeah, longtails the first day we shot 3.
Yeah, it was not many.
Yeah, it was, the problem was we got blown off early that morning. So the wind came up about 9:30, and when we got to about 3-foot rollers, they were like, all right, we need to go. Yeah, we need to get the boats in. Just, they said like we could possibly push it a little longer, but it might be a challenge getting all the gear back in. So they didn't want to push it, which fair enough to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and those layout boats, man, it's a little nerve-wracking. Like, I mean, you have like splash guards on the back, right? So if it does get super choppy, you can kind of pull those up and it prevents the water from kind of getting in. But I don't know. For doing it my first time, I was like, I'm good.
So, yeah, we got some old squaw. We shot bluebills, shot redhead. What else did we shoot? Did we shoot any buffs on
Yeah, on the second day.
the second day? Yeah, we did. I was trying to remember what else we had. Oh, a scoter.
Yep.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, we did shoot one scoter.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the mix. The second day was mostly bluebills. I shot that one redhead. But yeah, once we shot our limited bluebills, the day 2 was it was interesting because we were having issues getting picked out. So birds were stale. They were kind of smart to the layout boats a little bit. So we ended up actually, after they were skirting and staying at like 45, 50 yards, I took a couple shots just trying to help DJ get something on camera. And then we finally just acknowledged we had to pull one boat and just run a single boat. So once we did that, it went quick.
Yeah, that's when we started really just hammering them. Because then they weren't flaring or nothing. Because having those 2 boats out there, and they were saying that it wasn't like they didn't have a fresh push of birds. So these birds are educated. They've been hanging around there for a little bit, getting shot at. I mean, there was like 4 other groups of hunters out there that day, and we were kind of closer in a bay and not too far from anyone else. But yeah, they were just flaring, and we pulled one, and then they started doing it. So
yeah,
Nice.
we couldn't even run the splash guards, the skirts, because they were picking those up even. So we were having enough basically rollers where the the boat would tip like this as the birds are coming in, and as soon as they did that, they would just be like whoop, and out they go. So when you had 2 boats, it was really evident. But when you had only 1 and 6 lines, it definitely worked way better.
Nice.
So.
Cool. And then you guys, so after that hunt, then you guys drove towards Iowa. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. DJ drove us down.
yeah, I drove so I grew up in Wisconsin, so I ended up driving back because it was Thanksgiving time. Anyways, I stayed a little longer, but so I had my car there, and we drove from like Green Bay down to Iowa to hunt on the Mississippi with the guys from Duck Gun Chronicles. So
Yep. Yeah, so we got down there.
Canvasbacks.
Yep. Yeah, so it was kind of a mixed hunt of canvasbacks and also then more layout boat stuff. So they had a 2-man layout boat though, so that was a new twist for us. So DJ and I together in a layout boat was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. A lot easier to film too, honestly.
Yeah. Get to know each other a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yes. Yeah.
close quarters.
Yeah. If you see any shots where it looks like he's right over my shoulder, now you know why.
Those layout boats. Well, I had to make some adjustments, but like those layout boats, you can't move. So it's like from a filming perspective, it's like that's your one angle. That's all you get.
Yeah.
And it's not like I can move around, get different angles, get Kyle shooting, like get the birds in, and like it was very difficult. So I really liked the 2-person layout boat.
Nice. So you guys were running kind of like 2 groups because you had like 5 or 6 guys, right, hunting?
Yeah, we had.
So you guys would run some guys on the shore,
Yeah.
and hunt for canvasbacks, and then you would run layout boats for buffies.
Yep. Yeah. So we had a shore setup for cans, about 4 or 5 long lines there, and then we had the 2-man layout boat, probably 3/4 mile out.
Yeah, the first day was a lot closer to shore.
Yeah.
But the second day we stretched it out a little bit farther.
Yeah. So then we had the 2-man layout boat out there, and so essentially, your canvasback limit's 2 cans. As soon as you shot your 2 cans, you were going to the layout boat, and then we just basically were bouncing guys around. So you'd shoot your 4 divers of other species, and then you'd shoot your 2 cans.
Nice. Was there a lot of birds around, or?
Yeah, that actually was probably the most canvasbacks I've seen working in big groups like that. I'm used to them where I'm at. Like you'll see smaller groups of them, but
Yeah, like 1 or 2, and you're like, oh, that was a canvasback.
Yeah, you get burnt by a lot of like singles that come flying through at Mach 5. But as far as groups working, usually the most we'd ever see is 6 to 10, and this time we were seeing flocks of 30ish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the first day too, like we started on the shore before we set anything out, and there was like thousands of birds just rafting out, probably like a couple hundred yards away, and you'll see it in the film, but like they were just locked up in there and going in there, and it was cool to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw quite a few waves.
Yeah.
On some transition shots. I was like, whoa, that
Yeah.
looks like a lot of birds.
A lot of birds.
There was a lot of birds working.
Were you guys
that area.
seeing any puddle ducks or no?
Not really.
I shot a spoonie.
Oh, that's right. You did. Yeah. That was that was random.
Yeah, shot a spoonie out of the layout boat.
Out of the layout boat. Okay.
Yeah, they came in and they flared up, and I don't know, what was it, 45 yards probably?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I have to shoot a spoonie on this one because no one's going to believe I did it from a layout boat. So, so I cranked a spoonie.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Other than that, though, not really.
No, we weren't seeing them. I mean, we kind of weren't also hunting for them, so we weren't really in areas that they were going to be working. So, I mean, we really were. This trip was about divers because it's not something we get to do. I mean, we want to shoot mallards. You and I know where to go.
Yeah, mallards are still king, but man, canvasbacks are pretty darn cool.
Oh, I'd go with canvasbacks or king, but that's
You're wrong.
That's a bold take.
I'll
Wrong.
I'll take that all day long. So
Where's Luke's board when you need it?
Yeah.
There'd be something in here and be wrong. A little behind the scenes, DJ, I got to hear this story of your layout boat debacle.
that was amazing.
You get to see it a little bit
Yeah.
at the very end of the film. But DJ, maybe just give us your. I heard Kyle was drinking coffee or something.
Yeah, Kyle's enjoying on shore, nice and warm, no wind out there. And so essentially on the second day we were out there, it was pretty rough. Like on the shore, it was super calm, like no waves, no wind, nothing, And then you go out to the layout boat and it's like you're bobbing up and down. And like, so Kyle had came and shot his limit. And so we switched out. So Jordan Fromer, the guy who runs Duck Gun Chronicles, switched in, jumped in the boat with me. And so we're kind of sitting there like it's rough. I'm filming birds. Like we're getting shots up. They're working and everything. So it was exciting. It was fun. And all of a sudden it was like we're laying there and it's like a splash over the back. Okay. Oh, that was cold. Ooh, man. Okay. And then all of a sudden it was like splash, splash. And then all of a sudden it was like water pouring in. It was like someone was standing behind the layout boat with a 5-gallon bucket and just dumping in water. And so we're toughing it out, and I'm like, Jordan, I don't know about this thing, man. Like, we're starting to take on some water here, and he's like, oh, it's fine, it won't sink, and they won't. Like he was telling me, he's like, yeah, they're like built to like hold this many certain pounds. And,
I was gonna say, even if it was filled with water, it would still be.
It would still be floating,
there.
and I think we were only in like 6 feet of water, I think.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was not deep at all. So I mean, like worst comes to worst, like it's
You were in a
pretty
camera,
shallow. It was pretty shallow. And I had a camera, all the camera gear, and camera gear's soaked. The elements were getting soaked. We were getting soaked, and finally it was just at the point where like the birds had kind of lulled down for a little bit, and we hadn't really seen anything. And I'm like, all right, let's radio back to shore, And so they gave us these little walkie-talkies, and I'm like, hey, like Kyle, can you come pick us up? And like we're starting to take on some water. The walkie-talkies aren't great, so Kyle misheard me. And
No, Hunter had the walkie-talkie.
Or Hunter had it.
Yeah.
And thought that we were saying, we're running out of shells. Can you bring more? And I don't know how that works, but like, and I couldn't hear what they were saying back because it was so windy and so loud. You can't really hear on those walkie-talkies. And finally we're sitting there. Jordan and I are just taking on water. I mean, for like 20 minutes. And we're just like, we don't hear the boat because they had a big mud motor. So you could hear them when they were coming to pick up birds or come pick you up and switch out. And finally I'm like, all right, I'm calling Kyle, and you'll see it at the end of the film. I'm like, hey, you think you can come pick us up now? Like, we're starting to take on some serious water here. And Kyle's like, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, we thought you said that you needed more shells. So we're just taking our time. It's like,
because we were like,
oh, man.
Hunter thought they'd said they need more shells. And so it's like, and he was about to head back out at that point. So then we're like looking around, everybody's digging, like, where's the shells for Jordan's gun? And so it's like, oh, there they are. And then I get a phone call, and it's like, DJ's like, yeah, we're going down. We're sinking. I'm like, oh. I was like, hey, Hunter, you might want to go a little quicker.
Yeah.
So,
and, I mean, at that point, Jordan and I are sitting in there. We're in waders because it's, you're getting wet, whatever. I am floating in the layout boat in my waders, like with the waves moving around, like, and we get out of the layout boat and we look back in, and there's probably 4 to 6 inches of water in the layout boat, and we're just like, I am so done with this. And it just made it even harder to film too, because I'm trying to keep the camera gear dry, like keep the lenses clear, all that sort of stuff, and track these birds that are just flying so fast. I mean, compared to any puddle duck, like flying across the spread and trying to track them in those waves, it's like
meow.
Yeah. It's like meow. And it was so fun. I really did enjoy it, like looking back, but it was definitely very tough. It was a really good challenge.
Yeah, it was talking about the speed of them. It's kind of like what Mario said that one day when we were on the river. It was like, you would have had to call the shot on that one I think it was last year.
Yeah. We needed to call the shot 30 minutes ago on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a great trip. We got bunch of canvasbacks, bunch of buffies on that trip, and
yep.
But
the grilled canvasback that night was.
Oh yeah.
That
Good.
We made
Oh, yeah.
we made fajitas. Those were really good.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we make?
We did fajitas. We did grilled canvasback.
Oh, we just did grilled and fajitas.
Yeah, because I think we were only there for 3 total nights.
Yeah.
Because we rolled in late the one night.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, duck is so good, man. Even the Kansas, when we made burgers, like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kansas, when you get old Bingham cooking.
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably do a whole nother podcast on that one. So
Yeah, it was. I've never eaten diver before because growing up in Wisconsin, but I always heard that it was not good.
it's
at
just
all.
like antelope. People are
Yeah.
like, antelope are terrible. And then
Yeah.
you eat it and you're like, and it's all done right.
Yeah.
And you take care of it and do the whole thing. It's like, these are great.
Yeah. It's like, this is amazing. Why have we never done this before? Like, because I grew up hunting on the Mississippi. Like, I went to college in Platteville, and like that's what we did was we hunted puddle ducks on the Mississippi, and never once thought to go for divers at all.
Yeah, it's all in the prep on them, right? It's like you got to make sure you get them cleaned up. You got to get them soaked out and everything. And mine's Canvasbacks because they're so good anyways. But, yeah, there's no reason not to shoot them.
Yeah.
Nice. Any other thoughts on Element 2?
No, check them out. Go take a look at them at your local store, and can't wait to see all of the entertaining stories we get on this generation. So,
Yeah, I can't wait for the stories. Yeah, so check your local dealer. Check them out on weatherby.com. If you can, go check out our YouTube. We got a bunch of duck stuff on there. Subscribe. Subscribing always helps us. We get throttled sometimes on social media. So,
Oh yeah. Oh, it's
So-
always fun.
Yeah, so Deej knows the best here. So if you can follow us on all the socials, share them with your friends.
Follow them all. We got a dedicated shotgun page on Instagram at WBY Field and Flight. It's a great page. We show all of our shotgun stuff there. Also follow Weatherby Inc. And all that sort of fun stuff. Check out the Endurance Tested Field Proven series. We got Montana Mallards. We got Alaska Sea Ducks. We're going to have Midwest Divers here. We got it all. So
Yeah, I think on the spring calendar we're gonna have snow geese, and then we got 2 turkey films.
turkey episodes coming out.
Yeah, we got a lot scheduled through the end of March, pretty much. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.